Hello and welcome back to Him Reads. Today we start Kirsten's Surprise. Kirsten's St. Lucia's Day, which is today. Yay! Chapter 1, Pestering. The first year that Kirsten and her family lived in the little log cabin on Uncle Olaf's farm in Minnesota, the autumn weather lasted into December. Although the stream froze and they had to melt ice for water, there was only a little snow. Papa often stroked his beard and pointed to the geese flying south. A very hard winter is on its way, he said. It will be much colder here than in Sweden. We have to get ready for the deep snows. But Kirsten thought the traces of snow on the pines looked like the sugar Mama sprinkled on ginger snaps. Light and sweet. It was hard to believe winter was coming. One day when Kirsten came to the cabin after school, she smelled cinnamon. Something smells delicious, she said. What are you making, Mama? Mama had her sleeves rolled up in her apron on. It's time to bake Christmas bread, she answered. Come help me. Kirsten washed her hands and tied one of Mama's long aprons around her school dress. Don't forget to cover your hands with flour so the dough won't stick, Mama said. She took several loaves of risen bread dough from the cupboard and set them on the pine table in front of Kirsten. Kirsten pushed her fingers on into the dough and punched it down. When the air was out of the dough, she shaped it into round loaves to rise it a second time. The smell of yeast and spices made her mouth water. Will Christmas in America be just like it was in Sweden? Kirsten asked Mama. Mama wiped her hands on her apron. I don't know, Kirsten. Something's a little different. And you know we don't have money for extra treats, but we'll do the best we can. Mama must have seen that Kirsten was disappointed, for she added, Here, take a piece of dough and make a loaf of bread for your doll. As Kirsten rolled the little piece of dough between her palms, she glanced at Little Sorry. Little Sorry lay on Kirsten's trundle bed. She wasn't a real doll at all. She was only a worn stocking stuffed with milkweed floss. Kirsten made her because she missed her real doll, Sorry, so much. Real Sorry, with her pretty face and blue dress, was still far away in Riverton. Kirsten had to leave her there last summer when all the money Papa had to save for the trip to America was gone. He couldn't hire a wagon to carry their trunks, so they left most of their things in a warehouse and walked the last 20 miles to Uncle Olaf's farm. I wish I had my real Sorry, Kirsten said. She met the little all loaf of bread on the wooden tray with big loaves Mama had shaped. I know you miss your doll, Mama said, but work comes before play. We needed both your hands to carry tools and blankets that day. Mama's voice softened. And you'll see Sorry again soon. Mr. Burkhoff sent word that the trunks have been shipped as far as the store of Maryville. When Papa has time, he can take the wagon and get them. Oh, could he go today? Kirsten asked happily. Maryville is 10 miles away, Kirsten, Mom said. It will take Papa half a day to get there and back with the wagon again. It's too late to go today. Will he go tomorrow? No, Kirsten, Mama said. He won't have time tomorrow. Couldn't we just ask him? Kirsten asked. It only made him cross to ask, Mama said. Papa is too busy now. When will Papa have time? Kirsten knew she was pestering Mama, but she wanted the trunks and Sorry so badly she couldn't help herself. Mama leaned across the table to push flour off Kirsten's nose. You know Papa and Uncle Olaf have to get the farm ready for winter. That comes first. Be patient a little while longer, Kirsten. Why don't you and I take the wagon to get the trunks? You know how to drive the horse and wagon, Mama. Now Mama smiled. You're full of ideas today. But there's school for you tomorrow, and we aren't strong enough to lift those big trunks. We can't get along with what we have until Papa has his work done. But don't you want the shawl more made for you and your candlesticks? Kirsten asked. She looked around the bare little cabin. We need the heavy quills and our warm clothes for winter. Papa needs his hand tools, and I need Sorry, or at least I miss her. Don't you miss your things too? Mama patted the last loaf of bread and set it on the tray. People are more important than a thing, Kirsten. Kirsten traced a heart shape in the flower on the table. You always say that, Mama, but things help me remember my people. When I wear my sweater from More, I can picture her knitting it for me. If I could see the Christmas cloths you and I both wove for the rafters, I feel like she was here with us. Mama had the dough tray halfway in the cupboard, but now she was stopped and looked closely at Kirsten. Even in the dim cabins, Mama's eyes were as blue as the cloudless sky. You're a wise girl, Kirsten. Our things can have special meaning for us. They help us remember. I feel just as you do. You do? Kirsten asked. Mama nodded. I often think of the day we finished packing the painted trunk to read to America. Do you remember that day? I remember it was spring and there were buds on the maple tree. More and your friend Mrs. Hanson came in early in the morning and stayed all day to help us, Kirsten said. We were used to working together, Mom said softly. How carefully more folded our sweaters. And Mrs. Hanson brought dried lavender to put on in our linen so they would still smell when we unpacked them here. Mama gazed at the window as though she could see Kirsten's grandmother, Mrs. Hanson, right now. I remember how you all laughed when Peter begged to put his sled in the trunk, Kirsten said, and how we all cried when we said goodbye. Mama whispered. We all knew we would never see each other again. Kirsten was surprised to see tears in Mama's blue eyes. She didn't know Mama could get homesick too. Mama, are you all right? Kirsten asked. Abruptly, Mama turned and shoved the bread tray into the cupboard. Of course I'm all right. She poured coffee into the pail and held it out to Kirsten. Now take this coffee out to the barn for Papa. He forgets to rest and warm himself unless we remind him. Let's get on with our work, Kirsten. Papa stood in the back of the wagon to fork hay into the barn. His cheeks were red from work and the cold. He climbed down and took the coffee pail from Kirsten. Just what I need, he said as he sipped on this steaming coffee. Bits of hay stuck to his work jacket and his beard. When Kirsten leaned against the wagon wheel, Papa, could you go to town tomorrow and get the trunks? Mom and I need some things from the painted trunk especially. Papa glanced at Kirsten over the rim pail as he said, when all of our work is done here, I'll get for the trunks, he said. First things first. Kirsten looked around at the wide fields. The farm was large, and you could see there was still much to be done. When will they all be finished, she said. It must be done before the heavy winds come or we won't get through winter. Now don't pester me, Kirsten, he said gruffly. When he patted her back the empty coffee pail, he patted her shoulder. I'll get the trunks as soon as we have time. But Papa didn't have time. The hogs had to be butchered and the meat smoked. Papa and Uncle Olaf spent a week repairing fences. They put new runners on the sleigh and new shoes on the horse. In the evening, they mended the harness, leather, and stuffed extra clay between the logs in the cabin to make the cabin warmer. They put up the fence to keep snowdrifts off the paths of the barn. When the heavy snows came, it would be too late to do these important things. Kirsten knew that when the heavy snows came, it would be too late to get the trunks. The drifts would block the road into Maryville, and the snow wouldn't melt until spring. She couldn't wait till spring to have Sorry back. The more Kirsten thought about the trunks, the more reason she found for wanting them. Surely Lars wanted skates and Peter's clay whistle, and when she thought that unpacking the trunk would be like a visit home to Sweden for Mama, every night when she said her prayers, she prayed that Papa would get the trunk soon. And that is the end of that chapter. See you later.